Hello again, everybody, and welcome back. I've not done a video in a few weeks, and that is simply because there's not been that much going on at the allotment, really. I've been quite busy at home and stuff, and with life in general, really, so I've not had much time to come down to the allotment and make a video. But as I said, there's not really been that much going on. I have been clearing all my beds and stuff and getting them all cleared and dug over. And then I have been covering over my beds with horse manure, which is about as exciting and as interesting as what it sounds. There's not really that much that's fun about it. It's not my favourite job to do, but I like using horse manure. It's good for the plants and good for the soil. And I've also been doing jobs such as pruning my raspberry bushes, pruning my grapevine, and other various perennials as well. Thinking about what I'm going to be planting next year as well. I've been planning that and um, getting everywhere packed away really. So I'm pretty much finished and ready for the winter months now. So I thought I'd come down and just do a couple of jobs before it starts to really get cold, because it's supposed to get quite cold over the next few days. Talking about temperatures of -5, -6 during the night times, and then not really getting much above freezing during the day, so it's going to be quite cold out there. So I don't really want to be coming to the allotment when it's cold like that. It's not ideal weather for gardening, really. Um, so there's a couple of jobs which I'm doing today. One of them being covering over some things with straw, um, such as my daffodils, which have actually started to grow. They're a few inches tall now. Because we had such a mild winter, I think they're going to be shocked by the frosty weather which we're having. So I'm going to be covering them over with straw to protect them. And also my elephant garlic as well, which hasn't really grown much yet. But as soon as it does, I don't want it to be hit by the frost, because the young shoots on the elephant garlic aren't going to take very well to the frost. And I also want to be covering over my succulents, which I've got in this greenhouse, with fleece, and my peppers in the shed with fleece as well, because yeah, I feel like they're not going to fare very well in this weather which is coming up, with temperatures being close to freezing almost constantly. Um, it's going to start getting inside the shed and inside the greenhouse. So yeah, using fleece makes a massive difference when you're trying to protect plants from the frost. I found it makes a really big difference. So, with that being said, I'm not really going to be down at the allotment much over the next 2 or 3 months. And with me not being down, I'm not going to be making as many YouTube videos. I might do the odd short or the odd one, like in a few weeks' time. I'm going to be sowing my onions. I always do them around about Christmas time, so that's when the growing season for me starts. Really, is Christmas time when I get my onions sowed. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing much in the way of YouTube videos over the next 2 3 months, until at least around February March time anyway. So I just wanted to let you all know. But one thing I do want to be doing around February March time is getting these raised beds filled up here, which I've made for my asparagus. It's just been made out of wood that I managed to acquire for free. It's just like pallet wood really. So I quickly knocked these together, um, because my old bed of asparagus, I think the soil was too heavy and wasn't well draining enough. So I lost them last winter, and they've not really come back this year, to be honest. So that was a disaster. But I'm going to fill these up with a good, well draining soil in February, March, and then plant some new asparagus crowns in them. So I'll probably be making a video on that and keeping you updated on the progress with these. There's a couple of panes of glass on this little greenhouse here which I need to replace. When I get round to it, that's a job I need to do. I've got this bed of kale here which should be giving us some nice harvest over the winter months till spring. We've got this big bed here which has got a couple of dozen winter cabbages in it, which should be ready around late winter, early spring. So we've got them to look forward to as well. Got a little bit of purple sprouting broccoli here, although there's only actually two that are alive. We seem to have lost a couple of other ones, so I don't know. We'll see how they do. Um, Purple sprouting broccoli does have a tendency to sort of look dead over the winter and then come back out of nowhere in the springtime. That's happened to me before. Got this bed full of leeks here, which are coming along nicely. I've got two beds of leeks, but this is just one of them. So These are also something which we'll be harvesting later on in the winter into the springtime. So more veg for the hunger gap. Got plenty of sprouts in this bed here, which we've just started picking now, but I'm going to save a lot of them for Christmas, I think. So they're lovely. We love our sprouts. Got a load of garlic called pink germador in this bed, next to our broad beans, which are over there. I thought I'd give broad beans another try this year. I actually did a video of planting them, and also with the garlic as well. I've got a couple of beds of these garlic on the go, as well as our elephant garlic as well, because we really like our garlic. So yeah, that's our garlic, which is sitting here next to our broad beans over the winter. We have our bed full of parsnips, which we've started eating as well now. We've had some really nice parsnips from this bed already, but the same with the sprouts. Like with the sprouts, we're going to be saving a lot of these for Christmas as well. And we also have a couple of buckets of carrots in the greenhouse, which we're also saving for Christmas, and they're looking nice as well. I don't usually have much luck with carrots, but this year I seem to have gotten away with growing some decent ones. Now this time of year there's no carrot fly, so I don't have any problem with that. So as you can see, there's plenty of things which I've got growing over the winter months, which to be giving us harvests later on in the winter and into early spring, when there's not much else that's growing really. So yeah, I like to have as much space being used as possible over the winter. I don't like having all the beds empty. I like to have as much going on as I possibly can to really get the most out of the space. Yeah, I just don't like wasting space, so there's plenty of things which I've got going on. But while I've been spreading horse manure everywhere, I've also been preparing the potato buckets for next year's potatoes, which consist of around half horse manure and half reused compost from this year's potatoes. I've said that I'm going to grow potatoes just in buckets next year, not in the ground, because if you watched my potato disaster video, you'll know just how bad some potatoes were that I grew in the ground. Yeah, they were really bad. I didn't have a single potato from one bed because it just been completely destroyed by wireworm. So that was a disaster, and I'm sticking with potatoes in the buckets next year because they were brilliant. Okay, so I'm just covering over these succulents here. It looks quite crazy and messy on here. There's quite a lot going on, but um, there's not really much space on now. So I am concerned that these will get affected by the frost that we're going to be having. They didn't do too bad last year. They were okay, but last year was quite a mild winter, and we didn't get any frost at all, really. That's an Ionium, so that's hardy. So I'm going to leave that out. That's fine. But a lot of these here are quite tender, so I'm going to be covering those over with fleece. Got some different cuttings and stuff here. If you're wondering what these things are here, and fruit bush cuttings and stuff like that. Yeah, cuttings. A couple of years ago, I did leave a couple of succulents in the greenhouse, and we had a frost, and it did get to them. So I'm not risking it this time. And, we also have a couple of trays of microgreens here. We've got some rocket and some broccoli. We do have some sunflowers there, but they've been incredibly slow. Planted these a couple of weeks ago, and because it's been so cool in the greenhouse, they are quite slow. But I want to grow some sort of salad during the winter, and microgreens are a really good one because they don't require that much time to grow, and not all that much light either, because they only take a couple of weeks to grow. They're not a lengthy crop to grow, so they're a good one to be growing over the winter when there's not that much else growing and there's not much light, and it's relatively cool as well. You can grow them at home, but I don't really have the space at the moment. Um, I used to grow these at home under the grow lights, but as I said, I don't have room anymore. So we've also covered the microgreens over just in case. They're probably a little bit hardier than some other things in here, but I'm not risking it with them being so small. We'll see how they do. Hopefully we'll be able to harvest these in the next week or two, but we'll see. They've been quite slow, so. And of course we have our peppers, which were overwintering in the shed. I'm worried that the frost is also going to get to these as well. They seem to have held up really well so far. I think it's been something like 6 weeks or so since we dug these up and trimmed them back and stuff. You can check out my video on doing that if you'd like to know more information about how to overwinter peppers. So, just for extra protection, I'm going to cover these over with some fleece as well. It's probably going to get quite cold in this shed. There we go, and that should hopefully provide some extra protection from the frost. So I'm hoping that this horticultural fleece, as well as this greenhouse, which is quite sheltered anyway from the trees, should be alright. Should be protected from the -5, -6, which we're about to have. Plus, they're on top of a. This has got a flag base as well, so that tends to hold a lot of heat during the day as well. And it's on top of a solid bench, which is also going to hold some heat as well and release it over the night. So hopefully, my collection of succulents here is going to be okay. I don't really have any room to store them at home, so fingers crossed that they're all right in this cold weather. So, as I said, I'm going to be covering over these daffodil bulbs that are now starting to grow, which is very unusual. It's only early December. Usually, even with our mild winter, they would be sprouting sort of January, February time, but these started growing in November, and it's now December. So, yeah, we've had an exceptionally mild autumn. So mild that this is happening, and we were only picking tomatoes up until a few weeks ago. So they've only just stopped growing really our tomatoes. So yeah, quite extraordinary really. So I'm making sure these are all covered over because the frost will just wipe them out and knock them back. So I've also got about 15 bulbs of elephant garlic in this bed, which I planted a couple of weeks ago. Probably a little bit later than I should have done, really. I should have really planted it when I planted my other garlic, my pink Germador garlic, in September. So these are going to be coming up pretty soon, and when they do, they're probably going to get a nasty shock when the frost come along. So I've just got this straw. There is a little bit of horse manure mixed in with this straw, but I'm not too worried about that. It's mostly straw, and it'll help protect the tops from the frost when they do start to come up. I'm going to have to get a move on because it's starting to get dark now. It's 10 to 4, and already the sun's starting to go down. So that's the problem with coming here in the winter. You're quite, especially if you're coming after work, like I quite often do. You have to sort of race. It's a race against time, really. I'm also going to be putting this wire mesh over the top of this because since I planted them, there's been a lot of rat or mice or shrew activity around this bed. I think they can smell the elephant garlic and they've been having a little bit of a dig around. And obviously, I don't want them to be eating them. I actually found one bulb that had been pulled out, hadn't been nibbled or anything. I don't think they have an appetite for garlic, but I think they just they're drawn by the smell and they're like, oh, I want to find out what's under here, so they dig it out. It's obviously not ideal when they're growing. So this has been helping them. This has been helping them. Uh, this has been stopping them from getting to them and digging. So I just thought I'd do a little bit of an update before we go through the winter months. in case any of you are wondering why I've not really done any videos over the winter. So that's the couple of jobs done that I wanted to do. And as you can see, it's starting to get dark now. It's about 4 o'clock, so I'm going to be heading off now. Thank you for watching my little bit of an update, just showing you what's going on and stuff. Hope you all stay safe, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click that like button as well. I've got quite a lot of ideas which I'm going to be doing next year, different videos and stuff like that. So I'm excited about doing that. So stay tuned for that. And if you'd like to see that, then subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video.